has there ever been an incident where you were able to access the garage if a car was in the space? Like maybe if the car was pulled up a few yards or so?
Because the space is too small for them to pull further away to do it. Otherwise, they're sticking into the alley.
So the only time you're able to access the garage is if there's no car in the driveway.
Correct.
Wow. Who knew that a garage would be so interesting? The both of you made a point about the plaintiff double dipping. That's not how I see it. The garage is a separate unit. I think the landlord has a right to rent out the garage. A tenant is assigned to the parking space in front of the defendant's storage garage. The plaintiff says there's actually room to accommodate both. That's not clear to me from this picture. However, the defendant continued to use the space for 6 years after the plaintiff purchased the property without any evidence that this was a regular and sustained problem. Note, for the last 6 months of the lease, the defendant paid nothing. For me, the question is whether or not the evidence of the plaintiff's, of the landlord's non-compliance is such that the defendant's excused from an obligation to pay. And I don't think that the landlord's non-compliance, such as it was, rises to that level. But I'd be interested in what you two think.
I think what troubles me is the tenant knew that when he was parking his car, this guy couldn't get in, and yet he still continued not to move forward because he really couldn't go forward. So when the plaintiff says, oh no, there was definitely more space, he could have moved up. You know, he couldn't. So listen, do I think he should get some money? Yeah, I totally agree, but I don't think he should get what he's asking for.
What is the plaintiff asking for the total amount?
$1,589.
I would cut it in half.
Oh, I'm a hard dissent on that.
Because he's renting out the garage in his space, but
we
he's
don't
getting
have any
rent
evidence
for the access to
But he's rented the space for 7 years. We don't have any evidence that there was such a consistent interruption with his usage to, I think, warrant a 50% ding on this guy.
I think any blocking of it, for him to constantly, if I had to constantly call somebody, could you
constantly.
Move 4 times a month?
But there's no evidence of constantly.
But there's enough evidence in my mind to say, if I've got this thing and I want to be able to open the garage that I am paying for every time I want to, and if I can't, I've got to call to have somebody come back. If they're home, if they're not home, I can't do it.
So if that's no, please.
Judge,
But if that's the position, then what we're saying is that if a tenant doesn't have everything perfect, as they are always entitled to it, then they can start deducting rent.
Judge,
I'm not saying that.
This is what I'm saying. Judge DeMango's point about the fact that I'm renting the inner garage, it would seem natural to think that I also have uninterrupted access to pick up my tools.
Oh, no, there's nothing. A storage space doesn't give you a right to a driveway.
He didn't rent the storage. He rented a garage.
As a storage space.
He rented a garage which he used as a storage space.
No, but
that's
he
my
doesn't
point
live
exactly.
there, you guys. So if a landlord owns a garage and says, I want to rent it to somebody who doesn't live here, I'm going to rent this out as a storage space, it doesn't become a garage. It becomes a storage space. It doesn't mean that simply because it's in a house with a driveway that a garage automatically gives you rights to the driveway. It just doesn't.
But I do think the defendant is entitled to a discount for the situation of never knowing whether essentially he was going to have access to his property. Mm-hmm. And I think that the landlord's continuation of not requiring the person in that space to park in a way which would not interfere with the usage entitles the defendant to a discount. I think the problem with us is the amount.
Okay, I agree. So let's just say that we let him get away with paying the $175 for the 2 years preceding the eviction, and we say that you have no right to stop paying. So for the 6 months that you didn't pay, you still would owe.
The only reason I'm gravitating towards 6 months at the defendant's number is that I don't like suggesting that a tenant who's got a problem can unilaterally decide what the rental discount would be.
So we're crediting the plaintiff with 6 months of unpaid rent by the defendant at the rate that the plaintiff has asked, because it's not a self-help remedy
But not
to
only
reduce
that,
your rent. So we're going to charge him for the $200 a month for the 6 months he didn't pay, and we will credit him with some damage.
Yeah, that's why we're not going to make him pay back.
So we're not going to have
money
him
for
repay.
the increases in the
Fine,
past.
you can do that.
Is this right?
Yes,
Are we
I
all
think
good?
so.
Fine.
I think we finally
We're unanimous?
we came to an agreement.
Very good.